All right. What is up, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Help Me Understand podcast. I'm your host, Coach J.K. McLeod. We are kicking off episode number 270 of Help Me Understand with gratitude as always. So thank you in advance for choosing to press play on this fitness Q&A, very short fitness Q&A episode of the Help Me Understand podcast. I know that you have other podcasts that you could be listening to right now, and hopefully it's just a matter of the Help Me Understand podcast being already in your queue. So you've decided to continue to include the Help Me Understand podcast in your listening queue. And I sincerely appreciate that. Oh, what's that you say? The Help Me Understand podcast is not in your queue, but you're listening anyway. One, I appreciate that. Two, do me a favor. If you subscribe, follow, however the term goes on whatever platform that you are on, I would also greatly appreciate that too. And it costs you $0.00 to do that on any platform. So subscribe to the podcast. That will help me in continuing to do what I can to grow the show, and you can be a partner in that. And I really, really appreciate it. All right. So let's get into today's fitness Q&A. So I've got a couple of questions that I will be covering here in full-ish transparency. These questions were not directed specifically towards me through my inbox or anything like that, although I am open to receiving questions, ideas for topics, whether they're fitness related or not. In fact, in previous episodes, some of the best and most impactful ideas have come from you, somebody who is listening. So feel free to hit me up at any time. You can hit me up on Instagram at Coach JK McLeod. You can also email me, jk@jkmcleod.com. And McLeod is spelled MCLEOD, and JK is spelled the letter J and the letter K, just for clarification. So these particular questions were ones that I picked up from Threads, which is hands down, I've talked about it before, and I'm still going to keep rocking with it. Hands down, it is my favorite, current favorite social media-ish type app. I love the fact that the majority of it is word/text based. So while I'm a visual person, I sincerely enjoy that scrolling through Threads just has a different feel and a different vibe to it, especially now that I've really skewed my algorithm towards things that are fitness and gratitude related. Man, it's just I liken it to back in the day when I would be at a bar or a club, and this is definitely back in the day because I can't even remember the last time I was in a situation like that for any extended period of time. However, like back in the day, if I was in a bar or a club, and this is back when you could still smoke and whatnot, cigarettes, PS, inside the bar, and I would liken going to opening up Threads to what it feels like after you've been inside of a smoky bar or a smoky club, and then you walk outside and you get some fresh air. That's what it, for me, feels like going from, let's say, mostly like Facebook or Twitter, like the vibes that those were giving, and then stepping over into Threads. So it's been it's been a nice breath of fresh air, and yeah, I'm just getting a steady stream of fitness and gratitude related content, tons of hope core and all that good stuff. So two questions that I pulled from Threads, and these were questions that I did briefly answer on Threads, and I actually want to expand on them just a little bit. So question number one, person posted, I want to buy some weights to train at home, but unsure what weights I should start off with. So I had commented that I am a massive fan of the adjustable dumbbells versus buying sets of, let's call them like fixed sets of dumbbells. So say instead of buying, and I'll throw out all of the disclaimers in advance around understanding and being like intimately tied to understanding budgets and things like that. So understand that we're not all in a position to blow, or not blow, but pause, or spend like $3,000 all of a sudden on every single increment of weights and all that stuff. Totally understand that. And also, I want to give you some suggestions that I think you can use. I'm a big fan of adjustable dumbbells, and more specifically, the Power Blocks adjustable dumbbells, and they have a handful of different sets. If you are watching this on YouTube, yeah, right over this would be my left shoulder, right over my left shoulder in the corner back there. Again, if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify, it's on video. I have a pair of Power Blocks that I purchased. I want to say that I bought them in 2021. I need to go back and look at that because I recommend them all the time. And they are adjustable dumbbells. And the ones that I have will expand anywhere from, I think the lowest would be 5 pounds. And then the heaviest with the expansion kit and everything that I have on there, we can go up to 90 pounds. That's per dumbbell on there. And also with Power Blocks, they have a number of different options. But in preparation for this episode, I did quickly pull up on Amazon the pair that I would recommend. Again, if you have the capability to do so, getting these adjustable dumbbells, they're called the Power Block Elite, ELITE, EXP adjustable dumbbells. I think the list price it says is $450. Right now, they're rocking for about $399. If you do keep your eye out on a website called Woot, WOOT.com, which is let's call it a subsidiary of Amazon. It's an Amazon-owned company, so it is legit. I think they used to be called Deal of the Day or something along those lines. One of my friends told me they will. This has been the case for, I'd say, at least the last 2 years, if not 3, that I've really paid attention. They will regularly, about on the safe side, I'd say 3 to 4 times a year, put those dumbbells that will expand from 5 pounds up to 50 pounds. They'll put them on sale for, I want to say, around $300 for the pair. And that is a steal and a half. Power Block stuff, for the most part, has a very solid reputation for being really well built. So my intention is not to make this an advertisement for Power Block specifically. So let me kind of expand out a little bit. So one, if you are wanting to buy some weights to train at home and you're unsure where you should start off with, if at all possible, get a pair of adjustable dumbbells that will go up to, let's say, about 50 pounds. That tends to be, especially for some folks who are either just getting started with training just getting started with training or you've been training pretty consistently, typically like up to 50, especially because you can do increments of, I think, 2.5 to 5 pounds with some of the different adjustments that are available on adjustable dumbbells. That will be enough to get the job done for quite a while. Depending on the types of moves and things, that can be a little bit different. But generally, I'd say if you can go in 5-ish pound increments up to 50 pounds, you're going to be in a really, really good spot. There are some of the other adjustable dumbbell sets that are out there. I've got some clients that use the Bowflex. That's what they were. The Bowflex dumbbells. Those they're not my favorite if I had my choice, because I also see some limitations with just how like massive they are. They're just super, super wide. So even things like shoulder presses, when people are holding those, like they can tend to be a little bit awkward. And I just don't, compared to the Power Blocks, they're not as resilient. And yeah, that's just my opinion on that particular one. And also, I'm not out here trying to hate. Like, keep your eye out on Facebook Marketplace, garage sales, Goodwill, those types of like thrift type stores. A decent amount of times you will typically find, especially around the springtime, whenever that decides to show up here. The weather is a little savage here in the Midwest right now. You will typically be able to find some of those things at pretty solid prices. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's say that you're like, yeah, JK, the whole like drop $300, $400, miss me with that. I got you. Totally understand. Here's what I would actually recommend that you do. First, have a general idea of the type of workouts that you're going to be doing. So let's say, for example, shameless promotion, that you had hit me up and you were like, hey, I heard that you have this super like basic, easy to understand guide for how to build my own total body workouts that I can do at home with dumbbells and resistance bands. Can you send that over to me? Hint, hint. I do have that available. So just reach out if you want me to send that to you. No strings attached at all and no threads attached. So I send that to you. You take a look at it. You put yourself a workout together, and you generally are going to be operating in the, let's say, 8 to 15 reps range for the majority of like your bigger ish lifts, like your squats and your presses and your rows, different things like that. And you have a budget where spending again $300 to $400 at one time, or even maybe, by the way, Amazon now is doing some sort of like different payment options and things like that. So I'm not well versed in that, so let me not kind of steer you down that path. But let's just say you need to start with, let's say, a couple of pairs of dumbbells. Low key, what I would recommend that you do is one of two things. Either one, go to the place that you plan to get the weights from, or if you're somewhere you don't necessarily plan to get the weights from there, but it's some sort of a store that has weights available, like a Dick's Sporting Goods, an Academy, Shields, Walmart, even Target, any place that happens to carry the dumbbells. Literally, my recommendation is that you go in there and you safely grab a pair of dumbbells and do about 10 to 12 reps of a couple of different movements just to get a feel for, okay, what would this weight be like? Now, somebody out there is likely listening to this and going like, dude, are you nuts? Like, you're telling me to go work out at Walmart? One, no, that's definitely not what I said. I'm saying if you can get access to something so you can get a feel for it, just even for 20 seconds, so you can get an idea of what it would feel like to do some of those movements, then I don't know, call me crazy. It's not beyond me to go try and figure that out in a creative way before dropping that money. Like, especially if budget is something that I really want to be cognizant of. If I've got access to the thing right there, why would I not like check that out? So this advice does not apply for if you go somewhere and they have, for example, you're looking for a treadmill and the treadmills are not supposed to be like jumped on and ran. Like, don't go doing that. However, think for things like dumbbells, kettlebells, whatnot. We're not talking about getting a full workout in. So I say give it a shot. The other piece, or the other option that I would strongly recommend, is get yourself a day pass to a gym or do a 1-week trial membership at a gym so that you can get access to a full array of dumbbells. Again, take that total body workout that you put together with the free guide that I gave you and go through that particular workout and specifically track the amount of weight that you use for anywhere from, let's say, like the 8 to 12, 15, whatever the range you're going to pick for the reps that you're going to be doing. Go ahead and document that. And then you'll be able to get a general idea of, okay, if I am generally going to follow a program like this, understanding the impact of progressive overload, that's explained very briefly in this guide also, which is the process of being able to progress the movement. You will be getting stronger, you'll be building more muscle, you'll be executing that movement better, all those things, understanding that, okay, I did 12 dumbbell rows when I was at the gym and I did it with a 35 pound dumbbell, and I did 12 and that was like no problem at all, then a 35 is likely going to be too light for you. So you likely will need something heavier than a 35. And that's a mistake that I think people will make pretty often when they're buying weights, is they're thinking about where they are right now with little to no consideration for where they potentially will be 6 months from now when they stay consistent. Note that I said when they stay consistent, not if they stay consistent. So that would be one of the primary things that I want you to keep in mind when you are looking to invest in weights for your home gym. If you're looking at fixed pounds dumbbells, take into account not only where you are now, also take into account the fact that you are going to get stronger because you're going to be consistent with that. So just keep that in mind. I'd get a couple of pairs of weights and just start from there. If you have specific questions about that, you can definitely hit me up and be happy to try and help you kind of nail that down. Okay, so that was question number 1. And then question number 2, and then we will call it an episode. This will just be a few minutes on this one. I really, really dug this particular question. The person asked, is anyone in this club who were extremely active with workouts in their 20s and 30s, but lost the motivation in their 40s. Time is not the issue, just the drive isn't the same. Would love to hear thoughts on how did you overcome this mental barrier? Guys, this is what I'm talking about with like my algorithm on Threads. It is, as the young folks say, dialed, totally dialed right now. Okay, so a couple of things first stand out to me here with this particular question. The person asking the question is asking for folks who were extremely active in their 20s and 30s and then lost the motivation in their 40s. And the piece that really stood out to me was the phrase extremely active. So I put together this vision of somebody who is very athletic, moves a lot, probably volume, I don't want to use this term negatively. So actually, let me not even go down that road. Just somebody who could handle a whole lot of volume. So they could be somebody who maybe lifted 3 to 4 times a week. Maybe they also ran. Maybe they did events like triathlons or runs and skiing, like all sorts of stuff. Okay, and then you get to your 40s, and they feel like they've just lost the motivation. And I like the fact that they also identified that it's not about time. They're not saying the time is the issue. They are specifically saying that they've got a mental barrier and they just feel like the drive to do so isn't the same. So there's a couple of things that I jotted down that I would share with this particular individual. So one, when I hear you saying that your drive just isn't the same, what I hear from that is that you're not getting the same level of excitement or accomplishment from the training that you are currently doing. And that is totally understandable, especially if you have describe yourself as someone who was previously extremely active, just not getting that same sort of like hit, the same sort of adrenaline, the same sense of accomplishment right now. So a recommendation that I would generally have is starting with getting an understanding of uh, what that person's lifestyle really looks like right now. Because what I thought was interesting is that they mentioned that time is not the issue, so they can carve out the time, or the time is available, whatever the term may be. They definitely have the time that's there. So I first would just get an understanding of what does your lifestyle look like overall, and what are some of the things that you really value about your life. Is it career? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it, and then, other layers. Do you value your freedom to be able to travel when you want to? Do you value being able to have a lot of flexibility with when you work out? Like, do you value connection and working out with a group of people or being around groups of people? Like, just what are the things that you really value? And how does being consistent with your training then benefit those things? And I bring this up specifically because when I have someone saying like, man, I just feel like I'm just not getting the same sense of accomplishment. I'm not getting the same sense of excitement. Like, I'm just not as motivated to go train because it just doesn't, like, it's just not hitting. Like, it's just not doing the things that it used to do for me. I can completely hear where this individual is coming from, because I hear this very, very often from a lot of the folks that I will have conversations about with fitness. And I that's one of the first things that I do is try to get an understanding of, okay, what are some of the things that you value outside of your fitness? And then we kind of bring it back together with how would consistency with training, be it lifting, be it running, anything in between, any sort of athletic things that you're doing, how would that benefit? Like, when you're consistent with that, how does that actually benefit your lifestyle? So a couple of examples that I thought of even just for myself, or one specific example I thought of, was not too long ago, I went to go visit my parents. And one of the things that I was fortunate enough and blessed to be able to help them out with was changing some light bulbs in the house. And the way that basically their house is built, it's a very long, like, ranch style home with super tall ceilings in some areas. So in order to change those particular light bulbs, it took me, who's 6'2", I'm really 6'1 3/4", but we're going to call it 6'2". So I'm 6'2", and I'm also on top of a ladder. And also, there was one particular light bulb. I think I had my foot on the wall. Don't tell my mom that I did this, but I balanced like 1 foot on the ladder, 1 foot against the wall with one hand, like keeping me stable, and then doing the whole, like it almost looked like a Spider-Man weird stretch sort of a thing. Probably definitely not like OSHA approved stance in order to try to, or actually successfully change this light bulb. And I was really thinking to myself, man, that I'm super grateful for being able to be physically in a position to do this right now. And then there was like a couple on the outside of the house that needed some changing too. And not to say that someone else couldn't have done it or anything like that. It was just one of those, yo, I'm here. Is there something that I can help out with? And we don't need to like hire somebody to come do this, because respectfully, neither of my parents are in a position to be able to do that right now. There are plenty of other people who potentially would do it. It's just, hey, you know what? I'm glad that I'm here and I'm able to do those particular things. So I think about one of the things that I value is being able to contribute where I can in the way that I want to contribute, in a way that is meaningful for somebody. And I would like to believe, and I do believe, that my commitment to fitness over the years has contributed to my ability to do that. So is it the same sort of a rush that potentially I would get when I did, like, say, a crazy CrossFit Open workout like 7 years ago? Definitely not. And also, there's a time and there's a place for that. So as I do believe that as folks tend to become more seasoned, let's say it, and become like go into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, and I've worked with all of those age ranges, you start to get an understanding of, if you really pay attention, if you really pay attention, you start to get an understanding of just how much of an impact a consistent and effective fitness regimen has on things outside of just what you're able to do in the gym. You just become more and more intimately aware of very small, it's like little small things. Like when you're at a game for your kids or your grandkids or whoever it might be, and you're watching people walk up the bleacher steps, and you've got some folks where it's like, one step at a time, and then other folks, it looks like they're like bounding up the steps. Like, you just watch little things here and there. So that would be one of the main thing, really, is what are some of the things that you value, and how does being consistent with your fitness contribute to that, so that it doesn't become such a motivation piece. It becomes more of a, okay, I want to stay committed to this thing because it continues to benefit the overall lifestyle that I've worked so hard to build. The other thing that I would also recommend too, if at all possible, look for something that is event driven. And I saw a couple of other people comment very similar thing. So right now, in my universe, High Rocks is like all the rage. I haven't done one myself. It's just got way too much running for my liking. However, High Rocks is all the rage. You've still got things like Spartan Race out there. There's something called DECA that's out there, DEKA. I've even looked into that myself. There's things like trail runs. I'd actually considered doing one of those. You've even got rec local recreational level leagues that you can be involved in. My podcasting partner, Kelly, I know her husband, Ty, plays like pretty high level, like rec league base. I'll call it rec league, but like baseball. You can get into so many different things. Pickleball. That might be a separate podcast episode, because you should still be strength training if you're playing pickleball. That's not like a light activity. There's tennis. There's just all sorts of different things that you can get into. You have to take the time to actually go research those things. And also, these can be things that don't require months and months of very structured training to do. They can be things that, by maintaining a better than average level of fitness, you can jump into, even a 5K, things like that. I think things like that can be really, really good to periodically kind of break you out of the rut and the monotony if you're just not feeling like you have the same level of quote unquote motivation. And what I really find is that folks are saying that they're losing the commitment to the consistency maybe that they previously had, and or they're just not feeling that same level of like excitement or accomplishment after a particular athletic or fitness type pursuit. So that's what I would recommend too, is try to look for an event or something that you can get involved in. And that can also, if you're somebody who values, doing things with a group, that could be a great way to get some friends together. If you're somebody who values being like solo dolo and totally fine doing events on your own, that also can be done. For myself, I think I've done, I want to say 4, it might be more, but I'm pretty sure I've done 4 Spartan races, Spartan sprints every time. To my knowledge, only one of those have I done with another person. The rest of them I've done all by myself. And one of them I did in North Carolina. In fact, I think I did North Carolina twice and then maybe one other place once. And then we did one in Illinois that I did with my friend Steve from college. So doing events solo, totally cool too, especially events like Spartan and other ones. Even though you go by yourself, you're really never alone. Like usually there's a huge just sense of camaraderie and teamwork and kind of like, hey, you can keep going, like that sort of a thing. So definitely encourage that. All right. So those are the 2 fitness questions that I'm going to answer for this week's Q&A. Normally these would be out on a Tuesday. However, this week is weeking. So it's a Thursday. We get them out either way. All right. If you've listened this far, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. This has been another episode of the Help Me Understand podcast. Again, questions, perspective you'd like to lend, topics, all that stuff, hit me up and I will be sure to check it out. All right. Thank you for listening. Take care. I'll talk to you next time.